My life was great. I had loving parents, a caring sister, and I was on track to graduate top of my class from university. Everything changed when I met a very dangerous man. I got kidnapped, sold to the Mafia, and became the property of a ruthless crime boss. I thought I'd never see my family again, but they were determined to save me, even if it meant going to war with the Mafia. This is a true story of kidnapping, extortion, and the lengths a family will go to protect their own. It's a dark and twisted tale that happened right here in Australia. I was born and raised in Sydney, Australia. I come from a large Italian family and we're all very close. My father owned a successful restaurant in the city center. It was his dream and he put his heart and soul into it. The food was amazing. It was always packed and the atmosphere was incredible. I'm not saying this just because I'm biased. As a child, I would sit at the little kids' table near the entrance and watch families enjoy themselves. The happiness that my father created for other people made him happy, and I loved seeing them so happy. When I grew up, I wanted to follow in my father's footsteps. He wasn't rich, but he was respected and admired by everyone, and it made me want to be just like him. I started working in a restaurant after school and on weekends. I loved interacting with customers and making them feel welcome. It didn't feel like work. It felt like fun. Everyone in my family supported me. I knew I would go far. Unfortunately, our restaurant was located in a bad part of town. Crime was everywhere. One night, I witnessed a shooting while walking home from work. I'll never forget the look on the victim's face. That's why I decided to study law in college. Instead of being the victim, I wanted to be the one to fight for justice. I worked hard, studied hard, and soon I was top of my class. I could already taste my future. I would become a lawyer, then open my own firm. And one day I would even run for public office. My family was very proud of me. My father told me I was destined for greatness. I believed him. I felt it in my bones. But fate had something else planned for me. One day after class, I stopped by the restaurant for a bite to eat. This was before cell phones, so I left my pager at home. I ordered a pizza and watched TV, when suddenly the bell above the door chimed. I looked up and saw the most handsome man I'd ever seen. He walked over to my table and introduced himself. His name was Mario. He was a businessman who often ate at my father's restaurant. We talked for hours. He was charming, funny, and handsome. Everything I'd ever dreamed of in a man. We exchanged numbers and made plans to go out again. After that day, Mario became a regular at the restaurant. He always sat at my table and we would talk about anything and everything. I fell in love with him. He treated me like a princess and showered me with gifts. He took me to expensive restaurants, parties, and nightclubs. I wore beautiful dresses and high heels. I danced with handsome men and laughed a lot. I had never had so much fun in my life. Mario was everything I'd ever wanted in a man. He was protective, attentive, and romantic. He was also very wealthy, which made my life even more comfortable. But I didn't care about his money. I loved him for who he was. Or so I thought. One night, Mario invited me to a party at his house. He said it was a small get-together with friends. I was excited to meet his friends and show them how elegant and refined I was. When I arrived at his house, however, I realized it was no ordinary party. There were men everywhere, all dressed in black suits, looking serious and intimidating. They all greeted me with a slight nod, but I couldn't tell if they were acknowledging me or not. I felt uncomfortable, but Mario noticed and took charge. He introduced me to his friends. They were all nice, he said, and I should have no worries. Then he led me inside. The inside was even more intimidating than the outside. The walls were covered with photos of men I'd seen in the garden. They all stared back at me with the same serious and intimidating look. I tried to make conversation, but Mario just kept changing the subject. I was confused and scared. I wanted to leave, but Mario wouldn't let me. He said his friends had something to show me. Then he led me to a room full of weapons, knives, chains, and ropes. I screamed and tried to run away, but Mario grabbed me and pulled me back. He smiled and said, "You don't understand. Cara mia, you are now my property." At that moment, I knew I was in grave danger. I struggled and kicked, but there were too many of them. They all held me down and did terrible things to me. Then they took me to another room and locked me inside. I was alone and terrified. I didn't know what they wanted, but I knew I had to do something to save myself. Over the next few days, they took turns coming into my room and doing horrible things to me. I hated them. I hated myself. I felt dirty and degraded. I wanted to die. One day, Mario came in and found me crying. "Why are you sad?" he asked. "I want to go home," I said. "You are my home now," he replied. "You belong to me." I hated him. I hated myself. I felt dirty and degraded. I wanted to die. Then something strange happened. A woman entered the room. She was beautiful, stylish, and confident. She introduced herself as Isabella, Mario's wife. She said she knew what he'd done and she wasn't happy about it. She told me he wasn't supposed to hurt me. He just wanted to teach me a lesson. Then she gave me food and water and let me use the bathroom. For the first time in days, I felt a glimmer of hope. Maybe Isabella could help me escape. Maybe she could protect me from Mario. Maybe she could bring me back to my old life. But I was wrong. Very wrong. Isabella called Mario and told him she wanted to talk to me. He came in and I braced myself for the worst. But instead of hurting me, he offered me a deal. He said I could keep my life if I agreed to marry him. I was shocked. Was he serious? Did he actually want me to be his wife? I couldn't believe it. But then I thought about it. Maybe this was my only chance to get out of this nightmare. Maybe if I married him, he would take me home and everything would be fine. So I agreed. I married Mario and moved into his mansion. I thought I'd finally be free from the nightmares, but I was wrong. Very wrong. Mario continued to treat me like his property. He followed me around the house, monitored my every move, and controlled who I talked to. He installed cameras everywhere and hired bodyguards to guard me 24/7. I was trapped in a cage of my own. One day, I decided I couldn't take it anymore. I wanted to escape, but I knew I couldn't do it alone. I needed help. So I sent a message to my family through a friend, begging them to save me. I didn't know if they'd be able to help me, but I had to try. I couldn't live like this anymore. Meanwhile, my family was going crazy trying to find me. They'd received a ransom note from Mario, demanding $1 million for my return. But they weren't about to give in. They knew Mario. He would never give me back. He would either kill me or sell me to someone else. So they decided to take matters into their own hand. They hired a private investigator and followed every lead. They questioned everyone who knew Mario. They even contacted the police, but they couldn't do much. Mario was too powerful. He had too much money. He could buy his way out of anything. Finally, the private investigator got a break. He found out where Mario kept his money. It wasn't in a bank. He kept it in his house. It was hidden in a safe deposit box. The spy followed Mario to the bank and managed to sneak in. He opened the box and found the key to the house. Then he waited for Mario to come home and followed him inside. Once inside, he planted a GPS tracker on Mario's car and waited for him to drive away. Then he called my dad and told him everything. Dad and my brother went straight to Mario's house and found me. They brought me back home and I haven't been back to that house since. After my ordeal, I tried to get on with my life. I finished college, got a job, and eventually became a lawyer. But I never forgot what happened to me. I'll never forget the nightmares, the fear, or the trauma. But I'm grateful for my family. If it weren't for them, I might still be trapped in that house with Mario. I guess you could say that Mario and his wife Isabella ruined my life, but they also made me stronger. They pushed me to succeed. They made me who I am today.